woman who was part of domestic violence. So this is from a child's point of view on what she witnessed. Breauna?
Hi, I'm Breauna Johnson. I'm 14, and my mom is a victim of domestic violence. My dad had been abusing my mom for 2 years prior to her finally leaving him. I was telling her to leave once before, but she didn't listen. She didn't believe that she could support us if she left. She didn't want to damage us by breaking up our family, but most of all, she was afraid, and so was I. She was afraid of him, afraid for us, afraid of everything if she left, and so was I. I think that when women are in a domestic violence situation, they think about all of their fears if they left, but not about what would happen if they stayed. The damage I have to deal with is unexplainable. I'm hurting. No 14-year-old should ever have to see and hear things that I have. My dad didn't abuse me physically, but he did emotionally. He told me that I was just like my mom, and he said I'd never be able to make any friends. He told me that right from the start, people are going to dislike me because I'm biracial. Those things just don't disappear at some point. They stick with you for the rest of your life. I remember one time my mom came to pick me up from school. This was in 7th grade, and when I got in the car, she had mascara running down her face, her shirt was torn, and she said, "Daddy's mad, and he said we can't come home until he calls us." I looked in the back seat, and my then 4-year-old and 7-year-old sister had terrified looks on their face. I could tell they had been crying. My mom said that we should try going home around 6 p.m. He hadn't called yet, and I was afraid, but she said that it would be okay. So we pulled into the garage, and the door from the house opened. My dad appeared, and he was telling us to leave. He came up to the car window and was telling my mom to open the door. Thank God she didn't. We drove off and left. We waited and waited until finally he said we could come back home around 8 p.m. I couldn't even sleep that night. The day we left him is the clearest in my mind. It was around 5 a.m. when I woke up to my mom screaming. During that time, it wasn't that different from everyday life to me. My sister Michaela was awake too. She was only 7. We exchanged glances and then ran downstairs. Once we reached the bottom of the stairs, we saw my dad unlocking the garage door with one hand and holding my mom's shredded, bloody shirt in the other. My mom was straining to pull away from him while he was yelling at us to go back upstairs. Even though I was in fear, I didn't listen to him. I yelled, "No, stop, please." I thought he was going to kill her that morning. He finally let go of her. So we all sat huddled on the couch, me and my sister, and my mom, shaking with fear. Blood was everywhere. My dad was yelling. He was saying, and we didn't know what she was doing. Behind her backs. Then he went upstairs, and that's when we got our things together. We were afraid to open the closet door because we didn't want him to hear us. We left in pajamas. We grabbed the car keys, hopped in the car, locked the door, and drove off as fast as we could. No one should have to go through what my sisters and I went through. It was the most painful thing for me to have to deal with in my whole life. My mom didn't realize how it was hurting us. Trust me, my life is not perfect. If she would have left my dad the first time he hit her, I wouldn't be coping with everything I'm dealing with right now. I wouldn't have a torn relationship with my mom. I wouldn't have suicidal thoughts. I wouldn't have flashbacks. I wouldn't have feelings of isolation and hate. I wouldn't have post-traumatic stress disorder. I wouldn't have struggles sustaining any relationship in my life. None of this would have happened. People don't realize the effect domestic violence has on children. It killed me inside to see my mom hurting, and I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't just run away because I knew I couldn't leave my sisters. I was afraid to tell anyone because I didn't want to be taken away from my mom. I didn't know what to do. I just wanted everyone to know that if you're being abused right now, don't think it's acceptable. Because it's not. Don't think you can't support your family without him, because you can. There will be people there to support you. Don't tell your kids that everything's gonna automatically be gone one day. You have to change it. I don't want anyone to feel like I feel, because it's horrible. You shouldn't be afraid of taking a stand against domestic violence. You should be afraid of what it will be like tomorrow if your loved ones are looking down at your gravestone. When you stay in a domestic violence situation, you're not only hurting yourself, but others too. The main point I want to get across is when your kids are telling you to leave, please just listen, and it makes all the difference. Thank you for letting me share my story with you. And I just wanted to ask everyone to please donate, because I could have been in this little girl's place. I could have just lost my mom. And all of the money is going to a good cause, and you're impacting a young girl's life. Thank you.